G'day everyone, welcome to Matt Hill Scale Models, and today we've got a box to look at of a kit that I'm going to build with a couple other P-40 versions in 1/48 scale. This is the Pro Modeler P-40E Warhawk, and I was going to do an in-box review. It was all sealed and everything, but I did this video before and ended up recording everything upside down. So most of it's all been taken out of the box, and this is take two on the video, so I do apologise for that. But yes, this is, I've been looking forward to this. I've had this one in the stash for a little while, and this is a new tool, P-40E kit by Monogram. It was released in 1996, and the kit number is 5921. It has two versions of the aircraft, one flown by an Australian pilot and the other one flown, which we think is an ex-Australian machine, flown by Lieutenant Reynolds of the United States Army Air Force. So the box itself, some nice box art on there. The interesting fact is that the box art has been signed 1994 by the guy who painted it, and the kit was released in 96. My box is a little bit tattered. I bought this kit second hand, and sorry about the glare there, but it is quite attractive box art if you do like your box art. The kit does come with its English, and just tells you about the kit, and shows you a few photos of the finished kit, with the pilot and crewman that's in the box as well. So, and we'll look on the other side is the two versions. So Stardust is the one I'm going to build. It was piloted by Captain Andrew Reynolds from the 9th Fighter Squadron of the 49th Fighter Group, or Shufi, piloted by Flight Lieutenant Les Jackson, assigned to the 75th Squadron of the Royal Australian Air Force. And but I will be building Stardust as well, just because I do like the nose art and the colourful types of it. It's not that I'm anti-Australian. I will build an Australian machine, and the Decals will leave me something to do with another kit that I have anyway. I'll go through the box. As I said, do apologise, the kit was opened up, but what I'll start with the instruction leaflet. This is the Pro Modeler instruction leaflet, A4 book. These kits are really good. The reason why I haven't built a Pro Modeler kit before, I don't know the build quality, but I do like these kits because if you want to step up a little bit into a model kit and add a bit more detail, these instructions give you some really good handy hints and tips to improve your model building, and even for people being in the hobby for a long time, it's good to see some hints and tips, and you can think, oh yeah, I do remember doing that, and why haven't I been doing it before, and things, etc. So basically the instruction sheet, it gives you the bit of a rundown on the aircraft itself, the pilots themselves, gives you some of the rundown of the aircraft specs, etc. The decals are in there. There was no, the decals were just inside the instruction sheet when I opened the box. The bags were all sealed. And I hope you can all see this properly. The kit instructions just sort of read this before you begin. Some of the icons, as they normally have in the kits, to tell you remove, throw away, decals, dip in water, etc. The colour call out here, and then it starts on the cockpit assembly step 1. And this being the Pro Modeler kit, I do like it where they give you some actual photos, even though some of them are very dark and they're in black and white. It gives you some sort of idea of some extra detail, and it does give you some very good information on how to paint the interior and how the interior was laid out. And they always have these sort of tips down the bottom where they've got this little knife icon, modelling tip: carefully scrape away little paint where two parts will be glued together. Paint cements usually do not adhere well to paint, blah blah blah, and it's very, very good. So and the photos, it tells you this close-up shows details of a headrest. In most P-40Es the headrest was dark brown leather, so it just gives you that little bit extra help to sort of just go that step further in your in building your aeroplane. And so it goes on next to still on the cockpit assembly stage 1. We're putting in the seats. It gives you an option of running cushions. It also tells you have to remove the seat belts if you want to run cushions. And other tips is where you can make your own harnesses, and tells you how you can do that. The next is a nice photo there of the control panel, and it goes into gluing the control panel in there. The kit has nice detail on the sidewalls. Look, it's not resin or anything like that detail, but it's really, really nice, and I think it should come up quite well for straight out of the box. Step 2 is the fuselage assembly, basically telling you to put the exhaust in the side of the fuselage, and to take note that there was 2 types of exhaust on P-40Es, and it will tell you not to use one and use the other. The airflow and radiator bulkheads assembly there as well, and it tells you although the airflow divider should be painted in a steel colour, the paint applied to the outer surface on the aircraft were often oversprayed onto the front end. Of course they would. They don't go around masking up the aircraft to precision. So overspray does get into areas, and they say just to let a little bit of overspray get into this intake area here, as they show you a photo, because that's how the things were. If you want that really nice little bit of extra attention to detail. So it keeps going through showing you the assembly of the fuselage halves, which is very, very simple, and I can't say how the fit is, but we'll look at that later on as we build the kit. Tells you about some of the teardrop lighting, and these little round lights on the side of the fuselage here, these were actually coloured lights that were illuminated by a globe. So it tells you to put a drop of clear coat or clear gloss on to make it look like a lens after you paint it, etc., just to help you improve your building skills, to help you just, yeah, as I said, just try to improve yourself. The wing assembly is very, very simple. Once again, a very helpful in information with photos and hints and tips, and the lights and how to make them look more realistic. A very good colour call out for the in the painting notes, so it's very handy there. Fuel tank assembly and putting the wing into the fuselage tells you just how you can add a few extra details, like a little bit of wash for spilt fuel, etc., which is really, really handy if you want to have a go at weathering. The tail assembly with the rudder link, and then just tells you now's a good time to paint your aircraft. Some details here of the rear stabilizer, etc., and what you can do, and some information about where the wiring and stabilizer wiring was dealt with. The landing gear assembly. The only disappointing thing with this kit, and I'll show you later on, because I said I have done this video before, is there's no tread, diamond tread on the tyres. I'm not too sure if they details the right main wheel and tyre in these photographs. There's a little red mark on the outside of the wheel and tyre that is visible at the 3 o'clock position. It doesn't say whether they had smooth tyres or not, so you'd have to look into that, but I think that's something that you could probably find yourself a set of, if you wanted to get really pedantic, you could find yourself some aftermarket resin wheels if you wanted to. So the tyres, and then virtually landing gear, etc., etc., tail wheel. Once again showing you some nice photos of the actual aircraft for reference, and nice, clear, concise instruction and details. Good colour call out as well. Propeller assembly, once again modelling tips to tell you, painting tips to help you. Close up of the actual photograph, even though it's quite dark, there is a very, shows you where the stenciling, and the tip yellow is on the propeller blade. Then it comes to the canopy assembly, showing you that as well. Some modelling tips to use water-based white glue, once again to help you so you don't get glue on your canopy. So yeah, it's a very good way for someone to improve their model building. The pivot probe and antenna wide, telling you how the rigging is done for that, showing you a nice close-up photo of the pivot probe. And then it says here some modelling tips on the antenna that runs on them, and I won't go through that, it's quite concise. But then step 10, figures. You've got a pilot and mechanic, and it also gives you some sort of ideas on what to paint their uniforms and how to sort of try to personalise the mechanic and a few different things as well, with his painting his hat and his toolbox, etc., which is a nice touch. And then Stardust of the 49th Fighter Group, some photos of the actual aircraft, which is quite nice at the end as well. I do like how the yellow has been sort of just splashed around there. It's actually sort of going back into that quarter vent window, or that rear sort of window at the back, which looks quite good as well. And then finally we have the painting schedule, or the camouflage schedule, and the colours calling out. The interesting, it says in here that the aircraft appears to have been originally painted with Australian markings. That's why things might look a little bit funny. That's why some of the roundels look a bit out of place, but I think they were just painted over the Australian ones with the American star anyway. So just a colour call out for that. And then the Pro Modeler gives you the second option for the machine flown out of Port Moresby by the Australian ace Les Jackson, and a little bit of information there that the Shufti is Arabic for have a closer look, so the name of the aircraft Shufti. So next we'll have a look at, if you're still not asleep, is the decal sheet. And I'll just zoom in on here. Now my zooming skills are not the best, so bear with me if it goes all completely haywire, guys. So we'll zoom in here a little bit. I'll just give you we'll have a closer look at these decal sheet, which I think is very, very good. The decals have been done by Scarmaster, printed by Vidichrome, and they look in register. They don't look thick, they're quite thin. The colours look good. The backing on them, I don't know if you could see, but the backing is very, very good. So I think these will go on well. Should go on well with just the plain old the Tamiya decal strong, or you can't go past your micro sole micro set for those who've got it, or the Mark Fit Strong by Tamiya is the two that I do like using. Or I do have to try some Vallejo decal solution that I picked up from my local hobby shop, McCann's Model World, which have got a range of their paints in stock. So I've just got those because just want to try something different, because a few paints are harder to get for me here in Tassie at the moment. So I've got to try to make do with what I've got. So the decals look good. I'll go through the sprues now. These are, I said, I do apologise again, because I did unbag them, but they were all sealed. But the kit does come with 4 of these grey coloured sprues and 1 sprue of clear. And as I did in the second video, you might notice there's a little piece missing out of there, is that I did just to check, and the plastic is a very soft grey plastic. But I'll zoom back out and we can have a look at some of the parts. We'll start with some of the cockpit and pilots, and I'll just try to zoom in where I can here and just show you the detail on the sidewalls of the cockpit. Look quite good. There's some nice detail and facial expressions on the pilot and the ground crew. It looks like they're still using their older, I think this looks very similar to what came in the B17 Monogram kit and a few things. You can see a bit of flash on some of the parts, and I should put a piece of card behind this so you can have a better look. I should have been a bit more prepared, but I'll put that down there. I'll zoom in a little bit instead of waving it around like a madman. But the parts look quite good for that. So you've got the landing gear has a moulded in hydraulic line. The control panel has got nice detail on it, so has the sidewalls, and I think will come up well with a decent wash or something over them, you know, over the paint, and careful bit of dry brushing if everyone still uses dry brushing. Probably going back a decade or so. The next we have the upper wings, the drop tank, the nose spinner, the intake, some doors for the landing gear, the seat and the prop, which are all moulded quite well. The only thing I don't sort of like too much, and I'll show you if we can get a better look. So there's some nice panel line detail on the wings. The seat, see the moulded in harnesses there? See how they're really thick, because you can't get the scale thin thickness of the harnesses. That's the only thing that I'll probably carefully remove and just make my own harnesses for that, but all the rest of the detail is good. And there's a little bit of flash on all the parts, but I think being the plastic it is, it should clean up really easy. Some nice raised lines here as well underneath. It's still got the old Revell stamped on the outside, 1995, but some nice detail in there. The wheels are only those smooth, no tread pattern on the wheels whatsoever. Tail wheels nicely done, the exhaust are nicely done. Some sinkholes in some injector pin marks in the floor of the cockpit. Some nice detail in the tail wheel section. So I think they'll all build okay. And finally we have the fuselage halves. Get it right, Matt. Sometimes I don't know what I'm saying myself. But once again, we've got raised panel lines, which I find very odd for a tooling in 1996. So care is going to be needed when constructing. Tiny little bits of flash around the outside, but there's some nice detail in the fuselage itself. We have some nice riveting and some nice surface detail. Might be hard, even everything is raised, so it's going to be a challenge to get some pin washers in there, so we'll have to work on doing that as well. And I'll go back to the box. So this is going to be a build that I've wanted to do for a long time. I've had some of these Monogram 48 scale kits in the stash for a while. I'll be working on this one in between. I'm still working on my Westland Wessex Matchbox helicopter, which I'll be doing an update on shortly. It's really become a bit of a drama, but I'll talk about that later. Excuse me. So I hope you enjoyed that. Stay tuned. I'll have a build video. I'll get a little bit done to this tonight. I'm waiting for some pieces to dry on my Wessex, so I'll start on the cockpit and a few bits and pieces. I'll get some zinc chromac green sprayed on a few things, a bit of primer first, and we'll go from there. So thanks for watching, guys. Thank you to all my new subscribers, yeah, I really appreciate it, and now that winter's coming up here, we're going to get a few things built. It's not much fun being outside this time of year. So until next time, guys, be safe, model hard, take care everyone, and stay tuned for a channel update. And just remember, with a little bit of effort, you can get a good result out of an old kit. Cheers.